Actually, we'll have flutters on the red side. Because pink's close to red, isn't it? Anyway, so we have Star as the blue Persian player. And we have Flutters as the pink Greek player. So, I wonder how we're going to go here. Oh, crazy difference in build order already. Check this out. So, Star opting to build the dock right next to the town centre. Flutters with a distant dock. A grand total of about 8 more steps away. Well, this is actually going to mean that, yeah, initial storehouse from Star to gather from his woodline. While Flutters might have been vaguely luckier with the distance gathering to the TC to these schools of fish. So putting this dock a little bit further away means he doesn't have to have a wood storehouse at the moment. He can throw one down a little bit later, because I mean this isn't going to be perfect, but it's good enough for now. And so, ooh, Star, no fishing boats. Flutters, fishing boats first. We'll see how we go here. Now this is really starting to be a real difference in build order, because Flutters is spending a couple hundred wood here. Star's going to start putting in a fishing boat too. I wonder if he's going to invest in a second before he looks at aging up. I wonder if Flutters is going to go all the way up to a third before he ages. Time will tell. But having a look around here, there's a bit of gold over Flutters out of the map, a little bit over Stars, but haven't really had either player check it out. So you can't really tell. No second fishing ship for Star. Flutters going up to 3, so now we're starting to see quite a bit of a difference in how they're attacking this. Flutters' mentality is try and slam in as many fishing ships as possible here before the warships come out. Star's thinking, you know, I'm going to take it quite slow, get one. Don't know if he's even going to bother cramming in a second here. Going to get one, get an age 2, get the warship to the town centre, because they're both going for the stone for that town centre. But at the same time, until one of them starts walling up these chokes, either player is really free to sneak a warship in and deal a lot of damage. Although I wonder whether throwing an initial wall and gating it before you even take your TC and getting your own warship behind that might become more of an aggressive meta opening on this map if it sees a bit more play. Not saying that I've got the best understanding of predicting where the meta of this is going to go or anything, but it was just sort of an idea I had for a build that I thought might be quite good against people that aren't really terribly confident in connected rivers. But yeah, we're seeing a barracks come out for Flutters before he's aging up here. It's a little bit slower, about a villager slower than Stars. So yeah, 15 to 18 vil, so two fishing ships and a villager later, and he's gonna start pulling ahead in terms of his resources, Flutters. So if he can get this, if you can get a house in here, yeah, he's got one on the way, sweet. If you can get that in, I think he's gonna start really pulling ahead on Star in terms of eco. This bit of greed at the start might have paid off, but like I said, ooh, here we go. Walling off early before you've even got, or as you've got your second town centre. Before warships are really out in the map, if you know your opponent's going to go for TC first, or if they are going to go for warship first, maybe throw this down before you get your own town centre. You can play a very nice defensive control game on the water. Flutters hasn't walled this up yet, and Star has. So this means the moment Star gets a warship pushing opportunity, everything around Flutters' base has to basically scatter. And it becomes a huge pain in the bum to try and gather. Like, you lose out on all your initial fishing, berries, gold, stone, your wood line. That's a lot of storehouses to have to replace. There's a lot of villages to have to pay attention to. And then you've got to try and throw up good production, good future economic expansion behind it. Meanwhile, Star, not going to have to worry about that. He's got that wall. I know I'm probably talking quite a bit, rabbiting on about this map, but I actually quite like it. I haven't really had a chance to play it. I was not really in a good headspace when the map actually came out. I'm more interested in just playing Tiny all day and playing other games, if I'm honest. But now that we're back into it, I actually really quite like this game. Would like to actually test out some builds on it. A lot of it probably pretty Norse heavy. I mean, there's a lot I think that can be gained from War Dogs. Sorry to be a bit quick here and not really point anything out. So Star finally getting some land production on the way. It was a little bit slower than Flutters could have had his, but Flutters actually, I don't think he got any initial infantry. And so they're 2-2 on production facilities on the land. So barracks and stables versus barracks and range. Actually, sorry, 2-1, but then 2 more in production for Star. But ooh, nice for him, and not so nice for Flutters. This trireme gonna have to slowly chip away at this wall, and this gives Star the time to really reshape his eco. But he needs to get a little bit more food. Flutters, in the meanwhile, again, he's really pulled ahead on the eco game. Really smart of him to go for that fast 3 fishing ship opening. I think it didn't really cost him in terms of any of his other production because it just paid itself off so quickly there. I think really the only way to sort of counter it is just go for just like a aggressive warship first opening, no dock yourself, I mean no fishing ships yourself, and possibly even just delaying the dock until you've got the resources to age up. And then, you know, saturating the water behind it, which could probably be quite a strong build. So Flutter's going to wall up behind this. Does have that initial warship advantage. Star's not going to really want to fight with this army because unless he splits up these bowmen perfectly, they're going to get killed by the trireme. But in saying that, I guess while the unit count is this low, he could always look at taking that fight and adding a galley behind it. He's adding the galley now. This wall's not going to last forever, but there's nothing really here to support this trireme at all. So Flutters doesn't really have much other armies. Only just started adding saris now. He's got double stables. Added the barracks. He added the barracks a long time ago, and he's just added a range. No units coming out of them. So Star got a bit of an upper hand in terms of the army here. But eco-wise, I think he's down by quite a bit. Yeah, he's down by a villager and a couple of fishing ships. Ooh, nice little raid going on here by Flutters. But has it overstayed its welcome? Ooh. The Sari's going to go down, but this is nice. Flutters, he got a couple of bowmen for his trouble. But he's slowing down. Star's eco expansion. This hunt's not going to last forever, and he doesn't really have anywhere else scouted over here. But that trireme had to back down. So the galley outnumbering it, forcing it back. There's a second trireme in the wake. Star. No damage to the galleys, so he's taken some now. That trireme, I think it must be stuck. No, here we go. Flutters is moving it away now. Just outside of range. The villager's lucky to not actually cop a face full of arrows. Oh, is this bait? Is this bait? Population-wise, Flutter's doing a lot better than Star here because Star's housed for the minute. Rough for him. He's throwing down a bunch of houses now, though. Realising his troubles, queued up some upgrades while the houses are going up, so he's doing everything he can to sort of reverse the effects of that. But Flutters has boomed ahead, and he's in a nice position here because he's going to age up a little quicker. Star hasn't got age 3 in queue yet, hasn't even got the resources for it just yet, and is still down in terms of population by a little, so he's quite hurt there, and I think he probably needs to saturate this wood line a little bit better. Throw down another couple of storehouses there. Flooders could probably do the same, but I don't think it's costing him as much because he split his wood line up overall. So it's, a lot of the time, guys, investing in the extra storehouses really pays off. Just do the maths, just sit there and think about it. So Flooders hitting age 3, Star still in age 2, and with this army investment to catch up to Flooders, he still can't afford his age 3. So with getting housed and the slightly less greedy opening, Star's basically a phase of play behind, if you will. He's not an age behind, but... well, I mean, he is an age behind, but he's not really a full age behind in terms of upgrades or anything. But it won't be long before he is. He really needs to fit this age 3 in. He needs to get more gold here. But he might catch out the warships. Oh, could be a good bait here by Flooders, who's got a good number of the Saris. If they can get on top of these bowmen before they take too much damage, they can really whittle them down. The bowman count dropping quite rapidly. You're losing 3 or 4 at a time. It's costing you quite a bit. And the spearmen taking down the Asabara of Star, so I think Flooders has taken a much nicer fight here, losing a couple of units on the runaway there, but he's really forcing Star inside his base, and this wall with the fire ship there as well, considering they're doing that crush damage. This is pierce armor, but there's no crush armor for the buildings, so they're taking true damage. Star still hasn't fit that age 3 in, and now Flooders upgrades have kicked in, so Tox champ, oh, and he's got some Prodromos, no Sari champ yet. Now Flooders is really looking like he truly is an age up over Star here. Getting all of his age 2 age 2 army upgrades from the armory finished. And Star hasn't got his armories at all yet. So yeah, he's looking really quite dominant, but there is a market on the way here for Star. He wants to look at turning this around economically, and I think he still can if he does sort of beeline towards just spamming a perfect amount of caravans out and getting that age 3 out quickly and getting up to about 70 villages. You probably don't want to get too many because, I mean, that pop space you could probably use for either army or caravans, because caravans, they are bloody good. Pelters to the back of the army here for Flooders, so they're going to get straight onto the bowmen. So Flooders has 2 forms of anti-range he's got to try and micro onto these bowmen, but I think he might have the unit count. It might not matter, he might not have to worry too much, but ooh, that's a lot of his range being kept at the back of the fight there, probably a bit too far back. Flooders not making use of all the damage on his army, but I think he engaged that well enough at the beginning to really mitigate that, and he really pulled out that fight. Still the more successful player, and on the water he's still slightly ahead of Star in that regard as well. So there's this huge land army. Flooders, I think, can really clean up Star on the land. It's really on the water where things are looking quite close, quite dicey at the moment, but I don't think that's going to mean a lot if Flooders realizes just how little army Star's got at the moment, because this is a huge population lead for him. So maybe mucking around trying to get the harass in is perhaps not the best thing. If he parade pushes at this point, Star's got no choice but to really pull everything to try and defend against a full Greek army, 180 pop. So that's 105 army pop, because Flooders is basically capped out on army. I mean, capped out on 75 villages, hasn't got his markets yet, so... But he's really cleaning up the gold here. Star's not going to really be able to gather much. Neither gold mine of Star's here saturated, and he's run out of that first one. Things are looking really rough for him. He's transferring these workers down to the bottom side But there is still Saris here harassing from Flutters, so I take that back. Flutters is just picking Star apart. He's taking the, I guess, the safer approach rather than just sort of parade pushing when you're confident you've got that much bigger army and just you can just deny gathering inside the base that much. It doesn't matter. But here, Star, careful to not overextend. He's behind, but I think he thinks he's still in it, and I think he is too. He does have that market line up. He is producing caravans. I think if he cancels a couple of these and throws down a second market, probably fare him a little bit better than having like 5 queued. But in saying that, it means he doesn't really have to pay attention to that for the meanwhile as well. But he needs to pay attention to this. There's a lot of Prodromos there. It's going to take down his first armory, and Flutter's finishing up some Age 3 armory upgrades, so Star not able to fit in any upgrades at the moment, and Flutters has finished all his Age 2 upgrades. Things are looking really rough now for Star. Not much of a front line left for him. Unfortunately, the Persian player going down quite swiftly to the Greek player here. Not that I got anything against Flutters, but I did think this game would be a little bit longer. But I think things might be different in game number 2. We'll see how the players respond to one another after they've tested the waters. This is a bit of an unusual map. But man, these Prodromos have been quite high value. They've really cleaned up everything over here. The ghosts of all those storehouses and all those villages. And GG, Star taps out of game number 1. Still doesn't look quite right. Alright, so we have Flutters spawning here. It's player number 1 here. Bottom side of the map, the pink Greek player. So he hasn't switched. Star has swapped. He's a blue or Roman player. So he's already making great use of that engineer. That lovely Roman unique worker created by the Project Celeste development team. Big shout outs. Nice job, guys. Man, Romans, they just look so cool. So pretty. Look at that, man. Anyway, we've got a game to cast here, guys. I'm sorry to get distracted. So we got early dock here from Flutters. No initial town center. No town center. No initial storehouse. Already straight on the fishing boats. Star opening double storehouse. Is he going to go for a dock again? I think so. Considering his engineer placement, is it going to be a dock or is it going to be a barracks? Oh, the engineer's moving. What are we seeing here? Was he parking it there just in case he got scouted? Is this going to be Mind Games 9000 and now it's going to go and head to proxy? Okay, so he's going to do a forward barracks. I think that was the idea. So Star had his initial engineer placed here to make it look like he was going to throw down a dock just in case Flutters was scouting, and instead now he's opted to go for the barracks. So Mind Games over 9000. Oh, this is going to be a ripper of a game. I've just got that feeling about it. Sorry about the little delay there. I was just alt-tabbing, just checking something. So we're seeing the same 3 fishing ship opening here from the Greek player. Really quite greedy, but at the same time, it's quite a smart play because as you saw last game, against any of the other builds that don't ramp as quickly as it does, that don't initially challenge it early on, you know, you just come out of it with a flat eco advantage over your opponent. It's like playing, you know, 2 dock into town center on inland or sheltered pass or a map like that. You know, you just really, unless you know you're going to get rushed, you're nearly always better off just playing the greediest fucking build that you can. So, in saying that, the one thing that challenges that sort of mentality is playing the most aggressive build that you can. And oftentimes, if you can do it while having some sort of initial mind game to think your opponent to trick your opponent into thinking you're not going to play the most aggressive sort of build that you can, then you really sort of stuff him up. So the engineer just dancing here. Initial spearman. Wonder if we're going to see any more. Okay, so Star with the quick age 2. Flutters not too slow behind it, and this time getting net lures really quite quickly in a 4th fishing ship. So boy, he's ramping that fishing eco like crazy. And Star, he's ramping that army like crazy. All he needs to do is try and sneak in a condition. Oh, he doesn't quite have the food for conditioning. Switching to legionaries as well. He knows that they've got that little bit more pierce over the spears, I believe. Yeah, they do have that pierce over the spears. But I mean, if you can get conditioning out after his 1st or 2nd Decurion here, he can be in a really quite solid spot to just roll over the Greek player. Flutter's going for the barracks. He knows he needs to get spearmen at some point, and the barracks gives him that flexibility. He can fight off infantry and he can fight off cavalry. Whereas if he goes with the range, he can really only deal with the infantry. So it just gives him that little bit more flexibility. So Flutters, man, this is greedy. I love it, man. Oh, man after my own heart. So he's got the resources to go for a TC now. So he's going to go he's going to start getting army production as he's getting his TC after he's got 4 fishing ships. Crazy greed. And Star hasn't actually pushed into this just yet. Perhaps he probably is best off pushing now and having the Decurion. Oh no, here we go. He's got the Decurion. He's really best off pushing. I think he needs to make the magic happen. He needs to punish Flutters for this obscene greed. So another Castellum on the way. So a 3rd production facility in Star. Maybe I'm getting a bit presumptuous, because Flutters is, even though he's put these quite as close as he can, it's still not as close as you can get it in a regular game. Like in a regular game you can have it down there, and it becomes just about impossible to shove, even with Decurion Legionary, you know, sort of the tankiest composition in the game in Age 2. You still can't quite sit under 2 town centers forever. But here, there's just that little bit of space, and I suppose it's going to be a bit of a pain to catch the fishing ships, but if you park spears and Decurions on both sides of this, you can slowly wrap around and kill them. I wonder how long Star really is best off leaving this. Right now, eco-wise, he still is down on Flutters by those 4 fishing ships, and Flutters is starting to make an army now. There is no warship just yet, and Star has quite a bit of army population over him. So double Decurion. The town center's finished up though, but like I said, they are a little bit split up, and the resources are a bit split up as well. So I don't know if Flutters has the army to repel this. So it's only quite a small number of spears. It's really only enough to deal with 1 of the Decurions. And there's a whole bunch of infantry there to support them as well. A 2nd op coming up, so Flutters is going to try and punish this, and I wonder if he can really deal killing blows here in response, considering Star's gold mine is a little bit protected there. But ooh, Star's going to try and sack the town center and try and kill off any army that comes to deal with this as well. Well, there is triremes to back this up, so I think Star's going to have to back off and then deal with triremes pushing into the water here. If he just gets a little bit of stone though, he can really, as you saw last game, just nullify that effect. So Flutter's going to try and get some gold, try and get some stone and not lose this, but at the same time I think he's done just enough. He's got enough here. Clean this up. The double Decurion push, not quite enough for Star. I think maybe he might have been best off hitting just before that 2nd town center finished, because now Flutters has the double docks, has the double triremes to defend here. Really quite difficult for Star to shove with land alone. He doesn't have a dock of his own, and he has no 2nd town center now, so Ooh, in a precarious spot here, Star. He's got plenty of Malariums to help with the push here, but I think he might have gone all out. Like he's really committed to this. That's you know, another 45 wood. Star's going to be able to get this walled off in time. Oh, actually, is he? I don't know if he is. He probably needed to throw that up straight away and maybe even just not worry about the Malariums, because he sort of turned it a bit too all-in-y. When the engineer, is he going to go down? Star needs some. Oh, nice. So he is going to try and micro him through the building. Oh, but Flutters has moved closer. Oh, but Star, he's going to do it. He needs to throw down the. Oh, and he didn't throw down the final segment either. Oh, but is that going to be enough room to actually fit? Is he even going to be able to fit? Oh, some tricky micro there from Star. Ooh, he needs to be careful to not lose them, but he's doing a reasonably good job. But we might lose another engineer here. Oh, I think he's panicking. I think he knows he's down by the 2 town centers, by that second town center and the fishing eco, so he really needs to defend and expand behind all this. And he is trying to get a critical mass and just shove again before Flutters can really replenish his army, because right now Flutters behind this was really just, I think, looking at building up his eco, replacing all the villages and stuff that he would have lost there early. And I mean, he really beelined into the triremes. And so he's really sort of just adjusting to get to age 3 now. But he's going to be able to do so quite cleanly, and we might see this sort of conclude similarly to the last game. I didn't actually see that he had such a good mass of Toxotes already. Nice job, man. Yeah, he's got double production and he must have maintained it through all that. So right now he does have a composition to really challenge Star here. So Star's really playing off the back foot, and if this army goes down, he's only just going to have that second town center finish. This might be the final nail in the coffin unless he can really succeed with this fight. But that Decurion is just going to get melted. At the same time, the trireme goes down. So that's both the triremes for Flutters down. And there's this big Toxotes ball. Ooh. Star needs to not overstay his welcome here. If he's going to commit, he needs to be decisive. The perils of playing full melee into ranged is that you need to basically win the fight or not take it. There's no fucking off out of it. You're dead. Because that's such a clean number of Toxotes here from Flutters, and he's really ripping ahead in terms of the pop count at the moment. So 42 villages to 55. So Flutters not crazy terribly ahead in terms of army size. It's really the eco size, but that's where things really get rough, I think. Well, I mean, they both can be quite rough to be in, but at the same time, with time over the course of the game, the eco difference is really what's going to make a huge difference. Like, Flutter's already fitting in his age 3 here. This is going to let him get even more ahead if he can get that third town center down. But Star, he's going to have something to say about it. This is quite a nice flank here. So Flutters is guarding the river. Meanwhile, these Decurions going to be able to chomp quite a lot of these villages. So good prediction here, thinking that Flutters is going to need to finally expand onto this hunt. Obviously Flutters, his land food eco was a little bit delayed. He didn't have to worry about it because he went for the four or five fishing ships that he did. But now Star's punishing him for it, because this big mass of bowmen and spears moves quite slowly. All Star needs to do is not overextend here, and he can really reap the rewards of harassing while Flutters doesn't want to move back. So, but with no Decurions back at home, Flutters is free to take quite a heavy push here himself. So Star's going to want to try and keep this army parked behind the Castellums. And Flooders might want to just focus down some eco or some of the houses here. So the Curians forced to retreat. But the eco forced to garrison there. And these days you are capped at 15 villages in a town centre rather than in an infinite amount. You could literally put 50 in, I think, before. So players that have to garrison stuff in TCs, if it truly is a well saturated area with several resources around it, with lots of workers, you know, sometimes it really is worth pressuring it, because not all the villages will get to garrison now. But anyway, Flood's a little bit unfortunate to not see Star healing past with the Curians again. So these guys are going to be able to, with their health regen and their high health pool and damage, they are going to be able to kill small numbers of spears, not armies of big numbers of spears or like actual anti-cavalry cavalry, but they are going to be quite threatening to a single spearman or a handful of them. Put up a much better fight than say a raider or two will. So once again, Flutter's forced to delay economic expansion here. He's really struggling for gold at the moment. This is buying Star the time he needs to get to age 3. But now, Flutters might have this surrounded, and now he does actually have Prodromos out, so these Decurians suddenly are quite challenged. They aren't faster than the counter unit out in the field to get them at the moment, so as long as Flutters keeps the Prodromos in tow, these Decurians can all go down quite quickly. And Flutters really ahead in terms of the army size. It's quite a heavy lead in terms of his population at the moment of about 65. So eco-wise, he's up to 67 to 49 for Star of Night. Can't see a market for either player. I can't see a third town centre for Flutters, so Star's been struggling for food a little bit behind this to fall behind on villages by that much, considering he's only down by about 4 or 5. And he's been continually killing Flutter's villages, not to mention with those Decurians, so really I would have thought the gap might have even swung his way. But Flutter's really impressive gathering behind this and map control. Now Flutter's returning the favour with a cavalry raid. A few Prodromos there. I think the 8 Decurians probably could clean this up with focus, but then at the same time, the Prodromos can just run away and the Decurians don't have snare, so you're sort of SOL if that happens. But I think Flutters thinks he can just barrel down production here at this point, or even fight the army under it. So he's going to do that, and Star's actually trying to buy himself a bit of time, taking a long way around before he gets in. He can kill a couple of the Toxotes here. Ooh, this isn't good if the Decurians run straight into them. So Star repositioning his army, but Flutter's also repositioning his. Good micro from him, keeping the Toxotes there at bay, getting the shots off and microing them back straight away. And I think Flutters might have just too much here to Star to deal with. So the Decurians pretty much alone at this point, all the infantry going down. 4-star. Flutter's pulling well ahead in terms of the eco behind this as well. I don't know if Star's going to be able to back this up, and Flutters has really cleaned him up now. So unfortunate for Star, I don't think he had enough there in that final fight. He's going to try and mass up what he can. He's going to switch to trying to get a lot of the auxiliary camp units out. He still has plenty of production over here on this high side, but he's well behind in terms of the score, in terms of the eco, and he's going to drop a lot of houses that he's going to have to replace when he needs that wood to create units. So Flutter's really pressuring him everywhere. Even the fishing ships have come up. Rather than just deleting them, Flutters has sent them up here just to buy some time, waste some time with the army. So remember guys, if you don't necessarily need that population space right now, you can actually use units that you are just gonna suicide as suicide fodder. Don't, as cannon fodder, don't just delete them. Suicide them properly. So I think the game-changing thing in this was Flodders suiciding his fishing ships and Star of Knight's base there and wasting time of like a single legionary and spearman each. Nah, quite wonderful stuff here from both players. And Star's gonna try to take another engagement. Really quite pretty units. I love that shield, man. He's going to try and get a little bit closer to get the slingers onto the Toxotes, but also micro them back in the face of all this melee. To start doing what he can. Considering the army differential, he's really defending quite nicely here. Overextending. But Flodders, he's just got such a strong death wall here. He's disengaging when he needs to. He's not throwing this one away. He's pulling ahead, further ahead in terms of the army upgrades, I think. Yeah, he's already got an H3 upgrade over Star, and he's going to finish up the next two, so he is going to finish up all these upgrades. And Star doesn't have the resources to get them as well. And this fight really going Flodder's way. Star not putting pressure down anywhere. He can't really afford to at all. And with that transition to the range units, it'd take them forever and a day to really get anywhere. Flodder's adding rams. But it's going to take them forever and a day to get to anything. And so, Star's second town center here, I think it's going to fall. He doesn't have a third one. He's back to one. GG. Well played, guys. So unfortunately, the harsh realities of capitalism and the laws of the jungle hit Star of Night. He doesn't have a draw. Nah, guys, we're not going to go down that road. GG, well played to both of our players today. We'll see if Nantrix is ready for a game.